Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome to our webinar today on how to use the Matrix skill development features to improve the training experience. Now, because we truly work in a global environment, I always like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, because I know that you are joining us from all around the world. And my name is Theo. I'm data specialist from Cypher Learning, and I'm joined today by my colleague Rahaf. Hi, Rahaf, how are you?
Hi, Theo. How are you? How are you, everybody? And welcome to the webinar
I'm pretty excited
today.
for today. How about you?
Me too. Looking forward to it.
Until we are waiting for more participants to join in the first few minutes, I'm just going to let you know in a few words about what we are going to discuss today. And it would be on how to better design training based on your employees' learning preferences, their interests, their job titles, by using a platform that really makes learning more engaging and effective. And we are going to shed some light on some concepts as intelligent learning platform and skill development features, both in theory and in practice, by showing you the Matrix tools that actually really take a learner-centric approach and that allows you to better help your employees with their training. We are going to also see in a bit larger detail the benefits of using an intelligent learning platform in order to deliver really customized training programs, and we'll provide some key insights on how to elevate training efficiency through the intelligent learning platform, how to make sure that people are getting the right training to excel in their job, and also if they have a certain career path, and they certainly should have one, right? And how do we allow and enable them to move in that direction? So today, like I told you already, we have with us Rahaf. She is an EdTech trainer from Middle East at Cypher Learning. And just to give you a bit of background, she brings her 6 years of experience in EdTech, content creation and training in order to implement a quick transformation from traditional to interactive online learning for a better quality of learning. And she's really driven by continual user growth and empowering teams to take this passion forward. Myself, I'm an edtech specialist in Europe for Cypher Learning. I have actually more than 13 years of experience in the learning and development field. I have worked with diverse clients in helping them plan, design, and implement best practices in educational technology. And I'm also an instructional designer. I developed creative learning solutions for learners to develop their skills and to produce really great changes in organizations all over the world. And today we are actually from Cypher Learning. We are representing this company which specializes in providing learning platforms for organizations all around the world. And our headquarters are in San Francisco, California, but the company has offices in more than 20 countries, and our products are being used from organizations from over 100 countries in more than 40 languages. So we do have 3 products. We have Neo LMS for schools and universities, Matrix LMS for businesses, and Indie LMS for entrepreneurs. And at the moment, Cypher Learning is actually the only company that offers learning platforms in all major e-learning sectors. So our mission is actually showing our dedication to making teaching and learning an enjoyable experience from the beginning to the end of it, and also to improve education and have a bigger impact on the way people learn. Also, with what we are going to show today, the idea of innovating through our platforms and also helping our clients better reach their goals. So with this, I'm actually going to let Rahaf take over to present the really interesting content that we have prepared for you today. So Rahaf, please take the stage.
Thank you, Theo, for the amazing introduction. Today, as Theo mentioned, we're going to concentrate on different aspects of training and innovating this training. So we'll start by taking you back to the past. How did the training used to be in the past? And what are the aspects and skills development that it focused on and it concentrated on? We used to be in the past concentrated, the aspect was a bit limited and instructor-centered. and one size fits all. So how did I concentrate on the learner? So let's go to the fun part, and we'll take a poll out to ask you a question of how would you describe the training in the past according to the instructor? We'll take a few moments to get your answers. Did it focus on the instructor 70%, user 30%? Did it focus on 50% instructor, 50% user? Or is it 70% user and 30% instructor? So we'll see your answers in 5 seconds. Okay. The results are 70% instructor, 30% user, in which I totally agree with, because as we said, it is a one size fits all. It's not personalized. It used to focus on course creation and enrolling learners, progressing the tracking of these learners, and getting the certificate in the end, which is good. But how did it become in the present for now? Let's see the present. The present, it became a little bit due to a globalized world, and it's a bit more centered on the learner, more engaging and fun, and build skills. So how did it become enjoyable? Let's ask the question again and see what are your answers according to the present. We said in the past it used to be 70% instructor, 30% user. We'll see for now. How would you describe the training in the present according to the instructor? Results are varying. That is great. Okay, we'll give you 5 more seconds to enjoy the fun of the question. Okay. So it says the results say 50% instructor, 50% users, and some other people answered on 70% instructor, 30%, which they think that it is still concentrated on the instructor more than the learner. And we have some people with different opinion that say it's 70% user and 30% instructor, but the majority says 50-50. Okay, so now in the future, in which we are in Cypher Learning, and what did it focus on? What are the aspects that the training developed in the future? Oh, sorry. Before going to that, we'll see the aspects of the present. The learner focused on motivation. It became a little bit in community building, and it focused on the fun of gamification and competencies of the learner, in which is better than only focusing on the content and the instructor themselves. So now in the future, we'll talk about what we are at Cypher Learning and how did learning become continuous and unlimited, pursuing exactly the goals that we are focusing on, and how did it become more personalized to the learner. So we'll take you to the poll to see your answers. What do you think? Is it student centered, instructor centered, or built in between those two? Okay. It became 70% instructor, 30% user, or 50 instructor, 50 user, or 70 user, 30 instructor. Okay. That is great. The majority are saying that is 70% user and 30% instructor. So how did the LMS evolved, or how did it become an ILP, let's say, to get this to the instructor? It focused on an ILP. What is an ILP? It is an intelligent learning platform that empowers users, that focuses on the learners themselves and their goal and their automation. And they recommend automation based on the users and their goals, and they track their goals. They see that I achieved this goal, I can do better, and they can get motivated, and connected ecosystem. So mentioning the ILP, what is an ILP? And it's an intelligent learning platform. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, an intelligent learning platform, it predicts learners' behaviors, and it makes recommendation based on the job and the competency goals that they have set for themselves. We provide instructors with real-time analytics on the learners and the courses. It does so on proactive basis, using automation, create dynamic courses, and opposed to traditional learning platforms where the focus is in consuming content rather than we concentrate on the learner themselves. So there is a difference between an ILP and an LMS and an LXP. So what is this difference? Let's clear up that an LMS is a learning management system that we say it's the bread and butter, and it focuses on concentrating on creating the content, taking the course and getting the certification. The objective of the LMS is to assign quality compliances for structured learning. So an LXP, what does that mean? What's the difference between an LMS and an LXP? They're combined products, let's say, and they concentrate. The LXP is a learning experience platform. They come together as one product, and they concentrate on learning goals, and they concentrate on personalized experience. But an ILP, it's a structured learning, personalized. It's between both the LMS and the LXP. According to L&D, the LMS concentrate on perspective, while an LXP concentrate on personalized and flexible L&D. So an ILP, again, it's a combination of both, according to content. An LMS focuses more on an internal content, authorizing and allowing organization to create and deliver various types of content, while an LXP is the opposite end. It takes learners' first approach where information is surfaced quickly to the learner, while an ILP is a combination between both, instructor and the learner at the center of the platform. With an ILP, an instructor can access and deliver a third-party quality content from other providers. Thus, they also level up their training programs. And the platform will also tell them what type of content learners need based on their goals and behaviors without having to conduct a needs analysis, in which is a core in those days. On the learner's perspective, they will benefit from a personalized experience based on what they want and what their goals are and the career aspiration that they have So they will receive better guidance, as the platform will match with other learners who are close to their interests and skills to build up this community. On the search part, the learner will get what they were assigned to. On LMS, on the LXP, they will look for features of tagging and spot-on sources. On the ILP, it depends on the tag. Whether it was a visual learner, this course will be recommended to them. Or whether we're listener learner, another course will pop up to them. So what is the benefit of an ILP? And how is it going to do me well as a learner or as a trainer in my industry? It will recommend to me course based on my goals. It will provide monitoring and professional and similar career skills. And it will broaden the organization learning areas by integrating content and third-party tools such as skills development. Talking about skills, what are the skills that I need to develop with an ILP? So a learner will upskill through intelligent recommendation, as we have already mentioned. It will track the progress and it will motivate our learners so they can see their motivation in their courses and they can create paths to them or enroll them in specific groups to build their communities. So it's a combination of the three LMS, LXP, and ILP. And after tracking their progress, it will give them an overview of this progress. And it will create a sense of a community that they can see, that they connect with their colleagues and they have similar goals, they can achieve these goals and build up their skills. So this is according to skills development and according to the theoretical part. Finishing the theoretical part, we'll go and see the practical part with the amazing partner here, Theo. She will take you to see everything on the platform. Thank you, Theo. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Raha, for your presentation and for taking us on this journey to see how much e-learning has evolved and changed over the years, and also for making really clear the differences between a learning management system, a learning experience platform, and an intelligent learning platform. And we are going to switch now to the show and tell part of the webinar. And for that, I'm going to start sharing my screen again, this time going to the MATRIX platform. So I hope everybody is able to see my screen now. What you are seeing is actually the MATRIX dashboard. If you are already MATRIX users, you are familiar with this. If not, this is the view that you would have as an administrator and as an instructor of the platform. So this is actually the thing that we are seeing kind of in the back end, the part in which we are doing all of the configuration and creating our courses. So to do the show and tell part, I'm going to actually follow the structure that Rahaf very well presented before, with going from the past to the future, and by this showing you all the features that MATRIX has, which mark each of these moments. So now discussing about the past and how learning was done then. It's no secret that the courses were a lot more passive, right? And I like to say that it really existed this one-to-one mapping between the courses and the job roles that our employees had. So the learners were actually going through courses one by one in a pretty chronological order with no way to personalize them. And also the courses were built pretty traditionally with the structure in which a book is constructed as well. So for example, a book has the chapters, and inside of the chapters, you would find the content. Exactly like this, we have in our courses in our platform, and I'm going to take you, for example, to this basics of marketing and management course. And you would see this exact structure recreated in the idea that the chapters are here, the modules for us, and inside of the modules, we would find the content. So for example, here content can be a content page or different multimedia resources or different assessments that learners can go through. And how am I doing here as a learner is that I would go here in the module, go through each of the sections one by one, just clicking continue, do these, clicking continue until the end, and then I would get a certificate. So it was pretty basic. It did have some advantages, exactly like Rahaf told you. This is actually good for compliance training. Another advantage would be the idea that it is pretty easy from the reporting part of an L&D, because the type of progress that we would be tracking with this one would be more of a past, not past data that we are getting. But at the same time, it does have a bit of disadvantage. First of all, everybody goes through the same content. So we are really not sensitive, and we are not acknowledging the fact that our learners are really different. They come from different backgrounds, they have different skill levels for the same topic, and they have different ways of learning better. And also, because of that, doing it like this, learning in a really linear way, is not really engaging and fun. It is a bit disconnected. And also, it doesn't create a sense of community. We are kind of learning in our own bubble. And then a very important aspect is that neither the learner nor the L&D manager wouldn't get data on where the learners are getting stuck. So me as a training manager, as an HR manager, I don't really know exactly what am I doing wrong in my courses, where can I improve? And also the learner will have no idea on their weaknesses and strengths, so they wouldn't know as well where to improve or how to better gain certain skills. So in order to summarize, regarding the learning of the past that was really well implemented with learning management system, but with the limited features that it offered, it is more about the idea of creating a course, enrolling a learner, which sometimes was a really tedious process as well, tracking the progress in a pretty basic way with the data of past and not past, and receiving a certificate at the end. So now going to the present, we really know that we do have to respond to a lot of organizational challenges that we have regarding learning. And I actually read a report that said that the average net promoter score for traditional e-learning methods is -25. So you can just imagine that we need to make that better. We need to improve the return on investment for the trainings that we are creating. Not only that, we do need to find more ways to engage our learners and to build a more personalized approach. So in order to respond to these challenges, of course, learning platforms had to develop new features and also to be able to support this very learner-centric approach. And I'm going to show you now in Matrix 2 major features that we have that are supporting this learner-centric approach. One of them is mastery, and the other one is adaptive learning. So starting with mastery, what is the thing that we are doing before starting to create any piece of content inside our course? We are jotting down our objectives, right? So after we have all of this, what you're able to do in Matrix is that you are going to include this list under resources in the category of competencies. Afterwards, I'm coming into my course, and before I'm starting to create the content, I can go in the mastery feature, and I'm able to add this list of competencies here under the competency tab. So for example, under the course of basics of marketing management, I already have this basics of marketing list of competencies added. But if I want, I just can go ahead and add a new one from the library. For example, I can go for this one, design basics. Sounds something that might be useful here. So what I'm able to do with this list is that I can include or ignore some of the competencies included in this list. And the very important next step would be to make sure that I am adding enough modules and assessments that would be covering this skill. So the system is really, really helpful here, and I love this feature. The idea of having a visual cue, like this red spot is over here, that lets me know that, for example, for the price competency, I have not covered it with modules. So what I'm doing here is actually that I'm not giving them theoretical information on what's the strategy of setting up a price or what's the role of pricing in a marketing strategy. I'm not giving them any content, but I'm just assessing them for it. So this is really helpful for me to make sure that my course is really built on getting the right information to the learner for all the objectives that I have set for it. And another feature that is really helpful here is this coverage map that shows me how well am I doing for the entire course in covering my competencies with content or assessments. So here I can see that I'm doing pretty good, but I still have a lot of improvements to do. So also regarding the mastery feature, my really favorite screenshot ever from the platform would be this one. So what I'm having here as an HR admin, instructor, training manager is actually a really detailed view of how my learners are doing inside of a course. So I can see an average based on all the competencies that I have set here, or I can see per each competency how they are doing. And I have, again, the very nice idea of the visual cues, not only numbers, that are showing me where the learners need improvement. Another thing important here is that the learners have this information as well about how they are doing inside of the course. So they also know that for specific skills, they are not doing really well and they can take actions to improve themselves for it. And this is the great difference from the learning of the past that we discussed before, the idea of them only getting information as passed or not passed, and that's not really useful for improvement. But now I actually have data and analytics that allow me to take charge. The next feature that is really important for responding to the organizational challenges that we discussed before, efficient training and engaging learning and personalized approach especially, is adaptive learning. Now with adaptive learning, you can really ensure that your employees will get access to the right learning materials for their skill level. And this can be accomplished really easily, and I'm going to show you how, with the help of learning platforms which are enhanced by automation. So the best learning results would actually come from using some tools inside your courses. And we are going to discuss, and I'm going to show how automations work and how gamification works. Now, automation allows you to create a customized experience that will be based on the history of a learner. So for example, here under this course, I already have the history of how the learners went through the content and their skill levels. Now I can go to the rules tab, and this is the place in the platform in which I can add actions that would get triggered when a certain condition is met. And the condition that I have here is actually a range of skills for a specified number of days. So for example, I can add a simple rule that would be that the first competency, let's say this one, the learner has a rating of lower than 30% for, let's say, 10 days. This would be the action to get triggered. And the response to it would be an action that I'm setting here. What I'm able to do, so in my example that their competency is really low for a specific skill, I can actually hide assessments or modules which are really advanced for that specific topic. So they don't really need to see something that is way over their level. I should show modules and assessments that are enabling the learner to better themselves, taking into consideration their current skill level. Another important action that I'm able to do here is to add them to a group. So I can actually set up learning groups in which they would be helped by the instructor, by a manager, or by the peers that are doing really well in this specific skill. Another really important action that I can do is, for example, to add a to-do item. And this might be simple at the first sight, but the idea is that it will appear on their main dashboard. So it can be like a very important action that they would do, that they would be able to take on really fast because it would be very obvious for them. Now let's take another example with setting up these rules. Let's set up a competency, let's say knowing about the product in the marketing strategy, if they are really good at it. So let's set this up, for example, for over 95, right? For, let's say, 5 days. Now, what kind of actions would I set up here? Now I would actually hide the modules and assessments which contain really basic information, and I can build in my course new assessments and new models that would permit the learner to go on with their learning, even if they are doing really well. And this is a great way in which we can really make sure that we are building a culture of continuous learning. Another thing that I can do is, of course, reward my learners. So I can award badges and points to them, and this can be added up towards some levels that I'm setting up. And I'm going to show you in a bit how gamification feature helps us a lot in that. Under membership, for example, I'm able to add them to a group, and in this learning group, they would actually be the experts from which their peers would be learning, right? And another awesome options that I have here is adding a tag. And this is one of my favorites. So for example, because this is a learner that is doing really well at this skill, I can set the tab as advanced, right? So after setting up this tag, I can then build my content. Let's say I'm going in my modules, I'm building a new model. And for that one, I'm going to set up the visibility that only the users that would have the tag advanced would be able to see this part of content. So basically, what am I doing? I'm actually just building one course, but with different types of content, basic one, advanced one, or a visual aid content or audio content. So I'm able to track my learners, and I'm able to tag them with specific information like visual learner, audio learner, or basic on some skills or advanced on some skills. So I'm actually personalizing the way they are seeing the course. The course is basically the same. It contains a whole lot of information, but each learner journey is very different because now it is actually taking into consideration their level of skills and their preferred way of learning. So how great is that, right? Now to go over to the other feature, which is really important for engagement, I'm going to show you how the leaderboard of a game would look like. So the automated actions that we are able to set as rewarding points or badges can actually be added up toward levels. And these levels you can actually show to learners in their course dashboard, so they are able to see how their other colleagues are doing, and you know that competition is actually useful for learning. So we don't have to shy away from that. But also, if you want to create a more friendly space for competition, you can just add team games. And in this ones, you can create it by departments or project teams, or however you want to set it up. And all the points and badges that would be gained, they would be added together for that team. So this is not going to be like personal competition. It's going to be a bit more friendlier. So we discussed a lot about how the learning of the present looks like. Just to sum it up a bit, exactly like Rahaf told you, now we are actually switching from the learning management system to a more learning experience platform, because now we are giving more power to the learner. And how we are doing this is by taking into consideration that they are different, they have different level of skills, and they have different ways of learning better. And we are able to support this with features like automation, gamification. We are able to use a lot of features that allow us to build a community of learners. And very important, it is based on the idea that my learners don't have to complete courses just, they need to build competencies. And this is very important to finish up on this idea, because going over to the learning of the future, it will be based on people building skills, not just accomplishing courses. So Rahaf already introduced you to the notion of the intelligent learning platform. And what this does is actually that it has learning goals, recommendations, and automations, and a lot of analytics that would provide a more personalized learning experience that would promote the mastery of skills. And I really do believe that personalized learning addresses one of the most significant expectations that learners have, and that is to have full control over what they want to learn and how they want to learn. So in order to help your employees get better at their current job and to support them with their long-term professional development plan, the learning platforms that we are using to build our content really must become smarter, more proactive, infused with AI, in order to be able to better guide the learner and give them the freedom to choose their individual paths. So I'm really excited, and I'm really happy that I have the chance to show you the first feature of intelligent learning platform, which is implemented into MATRIX. And this is actually the widget of goals. And every user would be able to find this on their main screen on the dashboard of the platform. And it would look like this, for example. So in this widget, I'm actually able to go and click on actions. And what it tells me is that I have the possibility to add a goal as a job or as a set of competencies. Let's say, for example, that I'm going to choose job. And here I would be able to choose from the list that was created, for example, from the part of my training manager or my HR specialist. And let's say that I'm a marketing specialist at the moment, and I want to become a marketing manager. The choice is mine. I'm setting up my learning development plan based on the things that I want to achieve in the future. So I'm able in the platform to select this one, submit, and then it's going to appear here in the widget with the title of the job of marketing manager. So here I also have already some data about the progress that I'm making with the competencies that are included under this job. And if I click on it, I am able to see in really, really detailed view all the competencies, all the skills that are under this job. And in details, I'm actually able to see for each of these competencies, which are the data points that are allowing me to get this skill assessed. So I don't know if you have used LinkedIn, for example, this already exists there. And it is based on the idea that after a lot of studies, it was revealed that you don't really need to take a course from the beginning to the end, because maybe you already have a certain level of skill that that course would be teaching. It is already enough just to get that skill assessed to see how you are doing at it. And afterwards, if it reveals that you still need some improvement to do, you can go ahead and reach the content that would develop that skill. So the idea is that we are switching from the fact that we have to accomplish courses and only get certificates that would assess that we know something. We are building skills one by one. And this, in this system, we are actually able to see for each skill in particular, which is the part of content, the data point that would allow us to work on it. So another thing that the system allows us to do regarding our goals is we can remove them or pause them, because why not? We all can have changes of heart and we can have changes in our professional development plan. So we can just pause them and start others if we want. We also have the idea of finding the recommendations which are actually generated automatically by the system. And these can be courses or groups or just resources. And I'm able to see how other users have rated it, and I can dismiss the ones that I don't find relevant. In order to make sure that we are really creating a sense of community, this really important feature of users inside of the skill development feature allows us to see all the other users that have selected the same goal as me. So I'm able to message them, contact them to create smaller learning groups. I'm able to see how they are doing in their mastery levels, so that I'm actually able to reach out to the ones that are doing really good at this and that are able to support me. Now, regarding the skills development feature, another important thing that I would like to show you here is the things that we can set up, that we can configure as a training manager or an L&D manager regarding this feature. And we have three things that we can set up. First of all, we have the goals. Now we can select the kind of goals that the users can add. It can be jobs, a set of competencies, or both of them. Under recommendations, we are able to select the kind of recommendations that would be generated by the platform automatically. Like I told you before, it can be classes, groups, or resources. Classes is pretty clear why. About groups, the idea of social learning is so important for organizations that are trying to better train their employee. Because this is again from a report that I have read, that 68% of organizations are focusing their L&D efforts on building class-based programs. But 90% from the people from the same organizations actually said that where they are learning best is the conversations with their peers. So by making sure that we are associating groups with competency and using the automated actions, we are adding members into those groups with the same interest, we are making sure that we are creating those spaces in which peer-to-peer learning can exist. And the thing is that we have a lot of other features inside of groups like wikis, forums, calendar that would enable people to learn better one from another. And then associating it with resources, I think that we have to switch from the idea that I have to accomplish a course to gain a competency. Sometimes it's just enough if I just watch a video which is very detailed on how to do a certain task. That would improve my skills as well. And the third option that we can set up from here is the completion action for the job goal and a curriculum goal. So here basically we can add actions that would get triggered when a certain condition is met. And here the condition is actually the learner accomplishing the goal. For example, I can reward them, which is really important for their motivation levels. I can, again, add them to the group. So here they would be the experts in those groups to which their peers can look up to and ask questions to improve themselves as well. And another really great way in which we can use this is to send a custom notification. And here, basically, I would not send the notification to the learner because they already have it in their dashboard that they completed their goal. For them, is clear. But I would be actually able to send a notification to their manager. So in the moment in which they already complete their goal, the manager would be noticed. So the idea is that we are really making sure that people remain engaged and happy with their jobs. Because, and sorry for my geekiness, this is actually a quote that spoke, it was said by, in Star Trek by one of the characters. And it's the idea that superior ability creates superior ambition. So if somebody completed a job goal, the manager is really nice to be noticed as fast as possible that the learner actually wants to promote and wants new tasks. So by doing this, we are making the process a lot more efficient. So our learners and our employees would be happier with the positions that they have in our company. So this is actually all the information that I have for now about this new skills development feature that we have. And just as an extra information, I can tell you that we are going to have subsequent iteration in which we will actually add machine learning also associated with how you construct your course. And based on the competencies, you would be able to add external content in your courses. So this will not only work for the learner to be more efficient in its instruction process, but it would also make a lot more efficient the way in which you as an instructor, as an L&D manager are constructing your content. So it will be making a lot easier the idea of having in your course different content at different levels, so learners are able to have a more personalized journey. So in order to do a short recap for this part in the learning of the future, we are going to use intelligent learning platforms, which will be based on the idea of learning goals and also on automated recommendations, which would make goal tracking a lot more clear, detailed, and oriented towards action. And everything would be working in a very connected ecosystem. So thank you very much for listening to this part. And I really do hope that you have questions for us. We still have a bit more time until the end of the webinar. If you got a chance to write questions in the Q&A part of Zoom, we are going to check them out. If not, please just take some time now and ask any question that you are curious about, and me and Rahaf will do our best to answer your questions. So a question is on how can I receive feedback from my learners on how well my course is constructed for their needs? That's a pretty good question. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I already have the platform shared here. So I'm going to, again, show and tell the response to this one. So feedback from our learners is really, really important. And for this, we have some features which are built in the platform and are really useful. We have the idea of surveys, and we have the surveys available at a course level, but also we have them available at the entire platform level. So you have the surveys app here. For example, inside of a course, I'm able to create a survey. Let's see. I think we actually have an example here. So this would be a survey that I can give to my learners, and it can be at the beginning of the course. So based on it, I'm going to be able to improve content in my course. It can be at the middle of it, it can be at the end, or why not all three choices above. And between the questions that I can include here, we have different types which are really, really useful: the multiple choice, free form, a scale, and a matrix. And if you want to see more details about how this works, actually our colleagues had recently a webinar showing you how to use this kind of questions inside of survey, and I'm really suggesting that you would also go and watch that one in order to get more details on how to do it. But the idea would be that you can include these surveys and you would have the responses in a very practical way. You can export them, you can work with the data in order to make sure that you are actually creating your courses really in a perfect way to reach to the needs and the wants of the learners that are taking those courses. Another question that we have is what are the main benefits of an intelligent learning platform for instructors? That's really a very cool question. The thing is that how I see it is the intelligent learning platform would be able, with all the things that it would have implemented, and we still are working on it. I told you that in subsequent iteration, we will add more features to it. But even how it works right now is the idea that it is making your work more efficient. So it's actually, like Rahaf said and showed you that poll, it would be 70% for the learner and 30% for the instructor. So your role is very important at the beginning in creating your course with different type of contents and setting up all the automated actions. But you are just doing that at the beginning of the course when you are setting everything up. afterwards, you can just watch the analytics and do some changes for it. But other than that, you don't really have to do a lot of work when the learners are learning. You are giving the power to them. So it's actually making your work a lot more efficient. And like I said, in one of the iterations, we would also add machine learning that would be based on how you construct your course. So it would make your work more efficient even at that point. So maybe the 30% that Rahaf was telling us about will actually become a lot lower, right?
I agree, Theo. And adding to that, if the instructor concentrated more on the learner, it will add up to the learner's knowledge by just giving them more ideas of how to focus on their goals and determine what their goals are to make them better in the future.
Yes, exactly. That's a really nice way of completing the answer. Thank you very much, Rahaf.
Yes.
We do have another question on how we can also use the X API to identify this. So if we have case studies to share on how we can use X API to create an adaptive learning journey. Yes, I do have some examples. I think it would maybe take a while in order to really make the case for this one. It is possible inside of the platform to use X APIs, so you can actually set up in the automated actions that I have shown you. Let's just go here would be an easy way to set up an automated action. You are actually able with the integration to invoke X API as an automated action based on all the triggers that we have discussed before. So based on the fact that they are completing modules, based on the fact that they are getting certain scores, based on the fact that they have certain levels of competency. So this is the simple way in which I can show this. About case studies, I can search for some. So if you just let us contact information, we can always come back with these case studies that we can offer you for extra info. Thank you very much, Jen. I actually have to thank publicly to Jen because we have her here. Jen is actually our EdTech director, and she is really helpful in being here with us today with our webinar, and also helping us with a lot of information that is very useful for the people that are here with us today, our viewers. Hello, Jen. Thank you very much for being here. Do we have any more questions? I don't think that we have any at the moment. Okay, so then I'm just going to take advantage of this moment to thank you very much to all of you for being here with us today. I really hope that this was useful for you. And thank you very much, Rahaf.
Thank you, Theo. It was an amazing job for implementing all the functions mentioned. And thank you, everybody, for the webinar. And thanks, Jen, again. It was an amazing opportunity. Hope to see you more in more webinars. Thank you, everyone.
Exactly. And until next time, have a nice day, nice afternoon, and a really nice weekend. Thank you so much. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.